Hi,
Hi.
welcome everybody. So we are welcoming architect Vivek Bhole here on this season and session of Design Reflections. Let me first introduce you why we are here and what we are doing, and then I will take a lead to introduce him further. So we are here because of Sissy Jam Flat Glass India. Sissy Jam is Europe's #1 glass producer, exporting to 150 countries and having operations across 14 countries or 4 continents, and thus establishing its global presence in the market. They're one of the top 3 global producers of glass in all its mainstream line business lines. With 85 years of experience in the glass industry, with their strong expertise, CC Jam holds a workforce of almost 22,000 people, earning a revenue of over $3 billion. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all and welcome architect Vivek Bhole to today's engaging series and session called Design Reflections, presented by Sissy Jam. Design Reflections, as the name represents, it talks about and reflects over the past, present and future of design and the role of glass in design domain, with top designers and architects across India, talking about their experiments, innovation, and experiences into the design industry and with glass. So, talking about architect Vivek Bhole, who's here with us. For architect Vivek Bhole, I've heard it all started in his teenage years, a time when most of us were starting to be familiar with the concept of building a career, and he already did that time. He established his design practice called Vivek Bhole Architects Private Limited in 1996, and ever since then, I think he's been executing challenging projects and out of the box design solutions, giving us those things that make conscious and creative use of space with a modern and graphical approach. I welcome him. He's an architect with a creative vision and that knows no bound, and his talent in the field of architecture is something that we can only be described as intrinsic, right? So let's just talk about him, from him, and know a little more about him. Welcome, architect Vivek.
Thank you, Sonia.
Okay, so let's just hear from you. I really would want to know that what is your earliest memory of being fascinated by this field and space and architecture? How did you really get here?
Okay, so if you know about my beginning of my architecture, so it started very early. In my
Right.
8th standard, I worked with architect at my native place. My exposure was not much. In fact, I never traveled outside of my native place. So
Wow.
the only trip I could do was Ajanta uh,
Okay.
in my childhood. But the best part was I used to see a lot of those drawings with my uncle. And I remember the first incidents in my 5th standard when I commented onto some space, onto the drawing prepared by some architect from Indore. So, if I remember correctly, some architect, Mr. Malhotra, had prepared a drawing for Indian Oil, and my uncle was building that residential low-rise tower.
Okay.
So I started commenting like this is not really proportionate, and this room looks small.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
asked me, "Can you read the plan?" And I remember correctly, I could read the plan when I was in 5th standard. So
Wow.
I think that is what started my experimentation with architecture, and I could read not only the plans, even the perspectives which were prepared, and I could really enjoy them.
Right.
Uh, so I started making perspective at the age of, you can say, 13 myself,
Wow.
and then yeah, so I used to do sketches in 2 dimensional, and then I could judge the space. But my exposure, as I said, was very less. I could not travel. My parents were actually farmers, so there was not
Wow.
much of a exposure in that city.
Right.
So my fascination of architecture was limited to only the drawings.
Right. Right. So I think it's started from, what is known in India the best, which is agriculture and farming, to now, which is architecture, right? So, it's a play of both the worlds that you fused in together, and which is great. Having an expertise which is deep rooted, we really appreciate for, where you are and what you're doing and adding to the skyscape of the country, which is really interesting. So I would want to know that, since we've spoken about, how you started on in your teenage years, understanding basic perspective and planning, how that till date, you must have done like n number of projects. So what has been your favorite part of design to execution? Like, this is my favorite part whenever I sit on one project.
See, every architect likes to design, so that is the favorite part. But then,
Right.
just designing on paper
Right.
doesn't really serve the purpose. So finally, you want your design to see the light of the day,
Right.
and when the project gets into a reality, and you see that happening on site, that is the best part. And for that, you need a lot of detailing.
Right.
So when we design any complex building and then we rationalize it and then we execute it on site, so that interaction, that detailing, that is my favorite part.
Right, right. Absolutely. I think that's really interesting. You rightly said that, designing was the must be the first core part for every designer. But, making it come to life and seeing it come to life would be something really, that really stays with us, right? So, now since you are based out of Mumbai, I would want to know that Mumbai overflowing with, high rises and skyscrapers, what is your design mantra? Because you get really, as a designer, I'm sure you must be restricted with how you can design and what you can design in one space. So what is that makes your design stand out, and what's your mantra for Mumbai high rises?
Okay, so if you all those high rises in Mumbai, particularly if you talk about architecture, uh,
I think we're losing out on your network a little.
uh, network is not really good. So
Sorry,
if you see,
I think we lost you. We lost you with this because your network's little hazy.
yeah,
Yeah, I think we've got you back. Right,
okay, okay. So see, if you see all the buildings which are in the initial phase of high-rise buildings in Mumbai, so you will
right,
see a lot of makeup architecture. So the building they form some pillars, and then you have independent architecture, the outer scheme, which is absolutely irrelevant to the function of the building. So
right.
when I started getting high-rise buildings, I had a very clear concept of going for minimalistic
Sorry, I'm
and
again losing you. We are again losing you on the network.
so I have a clear understanding that minimalistic, uh, I believe that buildings are like human beings. Every part of the building,
We've lost you with the network. Can we probably pause for a minute and see?
uh,
Because
I'll,
again,
I'll,
it's
I'll,
cutting.
I'll restart or I'll see to it that
Yeah,
I have a
I
neutral
think
network.
I think you can rejoin this live.
I'll rejoin this slide. Yeah, just a minute. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. So a little lag, but I think we should be having him back with us very soon. Like, he's talking about high rises and how glass eventually can add to the high rises. We will know about that. Today we are here to talk about how from function to form, what is the evolution of glass in exterior design. We've spoken a lot about interior spaces and how it adds the interior value to our designs in our previous episodes. Now we will also be talking about how it adds to the exterior of design. So we are thankful to Sissy Jam Flat Glass India for having us here and letting us engage with the different architects and designers talking about glass. we will have architect Vivek Bhole very, very soon with us. Let me just meanwhile talk to you a little more about, glass. Before, I think we do have him here. 1 second. Yes. So I think he will be joining us soon, any minute.
Hello, am I audible now? Is
Yes.
it better or
Perfect. It is
is
perfect.
it
We're able
okay?
to see you clearly and hear you clearly. Welcome back.
Good.
Yes. So yes, we were talking
Okay.
about Mumbai high
So we were
rises
talking
and
about
how did
the
design for them and what's your design mantra?
yes, yes, yes. So what happened when I started getting these high-rise buildings? I thought of not going for those makeup architecture at all. So you will find my initial phases of high-rise building, like One Avigna Park, if you see, or we are doing CA stuff for Prestige at 35th floor. Then we did some Summit. We are doing something for Rustomji. So all those buildings, there is absolutely no redundancy in the innovation. So whatever you see, whatever you like of the building is actually the
Right.
structural concept of the building. So what we call form follows function. So I always design the structure and architecture in such a way that I don't really require any additional member to be
Right.
added to get the aesthetics out of it. So
Wow.
that was my theme
Interesting.
of
I think
designing
that's an
high-rise buildings.
interesting take. Sure. So since you spoke about function and form, let's come to, what we are here for, which is from function to form. How has the evolution of glass happened in exterior design? So we would really want to hear that from you since you have been designing high rises and spaces which involves glass. So let's start with today's topic. So how has the use of glass, according to you, evolved in specifically facade design over the years and over the periods that you have been here?
See, in the initial phases, because the glass is a very fragile material, so you'll see that
Yeah.
it was being used only for those small windows. And even if there is a big window, they will add the sash and they will
Right.
divide that glass into multiple pieces. But as the technology developed, more stronger and durable kind of glasses they
Right.
started producing. So processes like toughening and heat strengthening, they allowed the
Right.
designers to go for much bigger sizes. And then simultaneously, there are a lot of those coatings and treatments to protect the environment. Internal environment
Right.
from the exterior factors, that
Hmm.
started evolving. So that has given the architect the freedom of sizes and the usages, and
Right,
that is how it is
absolutely.
evolved.
So, with now that you see that glass has been used extensively, like you said that bigger blocks were been able to, people were able to form them. So, then it started coming extensively, and it was used in commercial buildings extensively. So, how do you balance the functional and aesthetic considerations of using glass in a building design? Because that's one big question.
So see, we know glass buildings, they look very sleek, very high tech, but then there are upsides and
Right.
downsides of using glass. So when we are talking about the sustainable architecture, then there are issues. When we talk about the fire safety, then there are
Right.
multiple thought processes. So the designer has to actually achieve that very balanced this proportion of aesthetics versus functions, and depending upon the location of the project, the purpose of the project, and then the budget, of course, and the
Right.
aesthetical preferences, you have to
Right.
select, you have to strike that balance. So every time the project requirement changes, the location changes, and you try to find the different
Right,
proportion of these
absolutely.
two
Okay.
factors.
So, since you're talking about that, it varies project to project. So, how do you approach designing with glass in areas where, you have extreme weather conditions, such as, high winds or, intense sun exposure, especially when you talk about Mumbai. It's really hot and humid, right? So I would want to understand that, how do you approach designing then?
So see, there are multiple weathering factors. So
Right.
of course, the biggest is wind pressure, and as you go high rise, the wind pressure starts climbing up. So from basic 1.5 kPa, what we consider for a low rise building, and it reaches up to 5.5 kPa in the extreme conditions. Like you are building a high rise building, super tall building in front of the sea, then
Sure.
you will have to go for that kind of wind pressure. And then the water tightness is another factor. So
Right.
that comes more with the system. So glass will not be considered as a facade material on its own. So it will go with the facade system along with it. So fixing of the glass. So then it comes with everything like maybe sealant and the gaskets and
Right.
the
Right.
unitized or semi-unitized system or whatever the framing what you are doing, mostly aluminum, of course. So that both the combination, they should be watertight. So then it comes to like in front of the sea, we are doing some building where it is like
Right.
500, 600 pascals
Okay.
water tightness is required. And then if we are talking about weather conditions, then yes, if I'm constructing the buildings, the high-rise building in front of the sea, I've got
Exactly.
double exposure to the sun. So direct sun rays from sun and then the reflected sun rays from the sea. So I've got double exposure. Then I need, along with the glass, possibly with the high performance glass, then we go for those different
Right.
architectural elements, sun shading devices we call them, to
Right.
protect the facade. So when it comes to this weather condition, extreme weather conditions, then you have to actually think of high performance glass along with
Right,
high
right,
performance
absolutely.
system.
So, a fusion is absolutely required when it comes to extreme weather conditions to protect it in double, triple forms. Great. Okay, so can you discuss anything like or tell us, particularly any specific challenging project that you went through and where you had a glass related project and then you sorted it out and you solved that issue and kind of fused these things together, and how did you really overcome that challenge?
Oh, there are many. So if you are,
Multiple. I'm happy
if
to
you
hear.
are
I'm here to hear and I think everybody who's with us would love to hear what you have to say about this and learn from it. So if you can share even a couple of examples, we are good.
So I got multiple of them. I'll share few of them with you. So we experimented tilting of the glass. So in the facade where I got a overhanging facade, many of the buildings. In fact, I like the way these buildings look like. So they look little
Right.
dynamic, and the shape, the geometry of the building, it's eye-catching. So we used to have those kind of glasses. In two of my project, I faced this problem where because of the weight of the glass, even in this unitized
Wow.
system, the glass got a bulge, and then once you look at it from the bottom, then I started getting those,
Oh,
distorted reflections. And because it was tilted from
yeah.
the road, you see yourself in a distorted reflection. So then you immediately come to know
Yeah.
that the glass is wavy. So then once we did that, we had
Right.
to find the solution for that. So we really went on to do the lot of engineering to achieve, the right kind of reflection onto our next project. So I spoiled one or two projects. So that is how you fail.
Right.
But then we learned from it. Then we continued our uh, the tilted, semi-unitized and unitized glazing to continue to form a railing for the
Okay.
terraces which are forming on the top. But the unitized system is designed
Right.
to take the water from outside. So once you use it in an open format, then
Right.
the exterior becomes interior, you know, and then the water started seeping
Right.
in. So we had to find a solution for that. Then there are few cases where I had really severe condition of weather, and we did the wind tunnel testing, and my client was not
Right.
willing to go more than 1.5 height of this railing, and I had to finally convince him to
Wow.
go for 2.7 meter of railing. Now, 2.7 meter of clear glass railing, you need a
Absolutely.
lot of engineering behind it, and this was kind of a tallest residential building that time, which is
Oh,
Bonavigna Park, the terrace. So
yeah,
we had a
I'm sure.
nightmare to achieve that, you know. So so there are these kind of projects. Like in one of the project, I did this
Right.
head office for J Kumar. Now there, my client selected an option where I got this diamond shape
Okay.
semi-unitized panels. So entire
Okay.
building looked like a series of
Right.
diamonds, but now you need opening for that. So when I showed top hung panel, so top hung panel, if it is inclined,
Right.
it doesn't stand. It will fall because of the
Okay.
gravity, and there are multiple issues with it. If I take it at the lower panel, which is the diamond's lower
Right.
panel, it is in the wrong
Right.
location from inside. So you don't want
Absolutely.
people to, slip through that. So then finally we had to find a system where the panel actually
Oh,
horizontally moves out
okay.
to
How,
create the
how do
opening.
we
You
get
know.
that? I mean, if
So
you
again,
share it in a little more depth, I'd love to know that. How did it actually come to
yes. So suppose this is the
play?
this diamond shape panel. So diamond shape panel, instead of this top
Right.
hung panel which opens like
Right.
this, or the bottom which opens like this, the
Oh,
entire panel moves
okay.
like horizontally out. So you require a lot of engineering. So there are those, the detailing, the junction
From
is there,
right.
and then it moves horizontally out to open it. Yep. So
Right.
really interesting way of doing it. And then anyway, facade itself
Absolutely.
is more of engineering. And then these kind of challenges, they give you more
Right. Right. Right.
innovation into your
Absolutely.
design itself.
Sure. So I think that was quite learning from multiple projects, and I'm sure that everyone watching us from, people who love your work and people, who are vendors and collaborators, architects, designers, young designers, whoever is watching it, I think there's quite a learning when it comes to exterior projects from you and straight from you, which is great to know. Okay, so what advice would you give, let's say, to aspiring architects, especially interested in specializing in facade design, since there are multiple challenges, it's not that easy. So what is your advice to them?
Okay, so see, youngsters, they should keep their knowledge up to date. That is the first. And to do that, I think the best way is to attend more and more conferences, more and more exhibitions. So conference, something
Right.
like CTBH, which we attend every day, you learn from others, you learn from the mistakes they have done. So you develop your own thought process of liking and disliking. And on the other side, if you attend exhibitions and get the knowledge about the latest trend, the manufacturing processes, and the technology,
Right.
so exhibition like Bhole, which happens, once in 2 years, it will give you a concentrated dose of knowledge, regarding the material, the technology. So I would always advise youngsters to attend those. Besides that, they should
Right.
work on multiple variety of projects, so that they know which
And they
material and which
learn from
technology
their own
to use where.
experiences as well.
So yeah, variety of projects. So they can actually then interrelate, and then they use their experience from one type of project into
Right.
another in a right sense, right way.
Right.
So I think that
Right.
is the way
Absolutely.
you learn.
So, if you can also share with us, I wanted to know that any upcoming projects where you are using glass in a different tonality, or anything that you can share where there is glass as a form where we can appreciate aesthetically, but also as a functional space. Any specific projects that you're working on?
So we are right now making one tower, which is the tallest commercial tower in the country. So the height will be
Wow. Okay.
260 odd meters, and so this is the functional height. Then we have
Right.
got a spire on top of it, and this will be the first exoskeleton building. So we just
Where is this
recently
based
got it
out
approved. Now,
of?
so this is coming up in Worli. and you will see the project
Great.
in next few months. So this is kind of biggest building also in terms of volume, in terms of height as well. So when we said the exoskeleton, there were few buildings designed in Hyderabad in exoskeleton, but never got executed. But this will be the first one to get executed now. Where we have got the framing, the external exoskeleton framing of
Wow.
almost 4 floors tall. And then we had a challenge to either go with the same triangular exoskeleton profile in the glazing, but then the
Right.
costing was going too much. So
Oh,
we went for two different skins. The exoskeleton skin is different, and the framing which is outside for the unitized glazing is different. And then we have got those small atriums in every corner of those diamond-shaped exoskeleton, which is again a
okay.
double skin kind of facade. So it's a usable space from inside. And then we have got an interesting lighting system
Right.
for that. Probably you
Right.
will
I
see that
think,
in future.
I think we all are quite excited for that building to come in because I think there will be an interesting interplay of, how the aesthetic is there and how we can use it as a space inside. And I'm sure light also adds value to glass in, extremities. It can make or break a design, and I think that will be very interesting to see how the lighting interplays with and form and function together. I would also want you to know, like, since you were talking about your project and futuristic aspects of how glass can be used, what do you see as the future of glass in exterior design? And do you think, and how do you think it will continue to evolve in the upcoming years? Because I think you've seen the journey from how small blocks were used to, now that extensively every commercial building really is glass, and to now that you are making this tower. So I would really want to know that what do you see as the future of design in glass?
So, see, everybody knows glass is a versatile metal. Everybody knows that glass is actually a green metal because, see,
Right,
70% of the earth is made up of silica and glass is pure silica. So, the byproduct of glass, whether it is in disintegrated format or its original
right,
format, it's not harmful to the nature the way plastic or other materials are. So, keeping that as one factor and
right,
sustainability, the demand towards sustainability as another factor, I think that will
right,
drive more innovation in future. So probably new coatings will come, new processes will come, and besides that, there will be technology where the dynamic glass, like
right,
the tint changing, the opacity and transparency changing, those kind of glasses they will come, which will actually interact with the sensors which are detecting the weather outside, the conditions outside, and then change the property of the glass. That kind of thing
right,
will become a common factor.
right,
Nowadays, it's there, but it's very costly. So probably we'll see those kind of glasses being used. Photovoltaic cells, embedded glasses, they will be very common in coming years, and probably they will serve the purpose of
right.
sustainability as well as aesthetics on the other side. So I think there is a lot of scope for
Absolutely,
glass
absolutely.
in future.
I mean, I think it's a versatile material, like you said. Have you broken the myth that it's not sustainable? Because I think a lot of people feel that glass is not sustainable. In a fashion that you said that 70% of the our world is made of it. So I think we should use it easily and not think twice about using it, which is great. So personally, I have a question from you where I would want to know that you've been using glass extensively in various forms and various sizes. What has been your favorite way of using glass? I mean, you've made multiple buildings which are in. I want to know what
No,
is
you'll have to
your
repeat that
favorite
question.
method of using glass. Where have you used it and you feel this is my favorite way of using glass?
Oh, yes. So probably, see, now we are always
Right,
changing our medium of thinking. So recently, I've adopted parametric
right,
as a new medium of our thought process. And then what we are seeing happening all over the world is the digital architecture, the adoption towards digital architecture. the integration of digital architecture along with sustainability. So all those kind of features, combining them with parametric and then using something like glass and steel together to achieve that. It's a
Right.
aesthetics of
Right.
future, the architecture of future. So I would certainly love to do that. I'm trying to do that. So the building which I
Which
talked about is something
right.
about
Right.
parametric.
Interesting. So, one last question that I have is about, since glass is extensively used in exterior facades, how easy is it to maintain it? Because I see that it is really tough, and there's so many buildings which go uncleaned, to be honest, because there is no way to really maintain it. So, is it a better fashion that we can adopt to when it comes to maintaining glass, and also to sustain for it to stay longer with us?
Okay, so if you are talking
Both.
about
I'm
maintaining means cleaning of the
about
glass,
cleaning and
yes, it
also
is
in
like,
terms of its sustenance for longer period.
yes, agreed. See, glass is one material which is
Right.
absolutely long lasting by its nature. Okay, so minimum weather conditions will change the property of the material itself. The only thing, yes, it needs cleaning because it's a very, pure material in
Right.
its form. So when you see any concrete building and there is a lot of dust accumulated, all those charges, there are those birds sitting on them, you will never expect them to be cleaned
Right.
daily, okay? Because they're already looking dirty. But glass in its original form is a very clean material by itself, and a smallest of the dirt is visible. And that is why we say,
Right.
okay, it should be cleaned regularly. So cleaning glass regularly is a good maintenance part of it, and there are methods and techniques available for that. But
Right.
in near future, you will see uh, robotic
Right.
cleaning systems. So you must have seen the robotic cleaning system of your houses. No, it is already there and it is very, it is not that costly also. So just imagine, instead of a Spider-Man climbing on that rope and cleaning
Absolutely.
those facades, you can easily have some system which will be, computerized, managed with, without much of interference
Right.
from the human side. So you will see that coming up in very near future, within
Right.
next 10
Right.
years.
Great. I think that's
Okay.
interesting take. You have it here, and we've never thought about it in exteriors, and I would be glad if that comes. It will save a lot of lives to kind of help us clean classes. Also, for its maintenance in terms of longevity, do you think that there is any specific typology of glass that should be used when we talk about a commercial building? That this is the glass that you should use so that it stays with you for 10 years or with you for 20 years, and this is the type used in houses. What do you have to say about that?
So, as I said, glass
Right.
itself is a very long-lasting material. So, I'm not worried about the longevity of the glass, but certainly the system by which the
Okay.
glass is going to be fixed, that is something which needs to be
Sure.
taken care. So, every filament has got a life, and then aluminum, it has got a life lesser than glass. So you need to actually work on the gaskets, the sealants, and the system, and then uh, you can actually see to it that the coating to the aluminum, which is long lasting. So maximum warranty what you get by any coating material is like 25 years, and we expect the building life to be more than 70 years. So there is a little bit of mismatch right
Right.
now. Glass is a very long lasting material. I'm sure that 100 years is less for glass.
Right.
But the remaining part of the facade system, that is what is
Right.
making more vulnerable. So probably in coming future, there will be huge development happening on those factors, and you will see wonders happening in that
Right. Right.
in those areas.
Thank you. Thank you so much for helping us understand what really glass is, and giving a take on how glass is changing our way of designing, and how it could be taken further. and talking about how form is not the only thing with glass, it's also about function, and there are various ways on how it could be functionally put into spaces. It was really an insightful conversation with you, and we loved having you with us on live. Thank you, architect Vivek Bhole, and we would really be excited to see that tower coming up, and we'll keep following you on your page to know more about the tower that comes up. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for joining us on Design Reflections and sharing your life and your story with us.
Thank you very much. Thank
Okay, bye
you.
bye. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Design
Bye.
by Jam Flat Glass India, and we would be again very soon to talk with another top architect. This time we had architect Vivek Bhole with us. Thank you, everybody. This is architect Himani Ahuja. I'm a communication specialist and a strategist, and I lead the firm called One, and we make brands, architects engage in various fashions. Thank you so much for joining.